Alright, Shalom, double honors to the apostles of GMS, honors you brothers that be pushing this truth and sincerity. Alright, excuse me for the lack of sophistication in doing this particular video, but it's a nice article. Finally, some good news has come out in 2015, right? Excuse me, close that down. Right, we finally got some good news, right? It says U.S. threatens Russia with deploying tanks, right, armored vehicles in Europe. Now this is, if we go down to the bottom, we see the date of the article. It's usually down at the bottom. Let's see if they got a date, right? What a date here, it says there, you got the top date there anyway, you got the main date, but I wanted to see if they had a date for the when, here we go. All right, Thursday, 1st of January 2015, man. So that's some fucking good news right there, right? I'm gonna read through the article because it's, it speaks about exciting times. Because we're gonna do with them tankers, man. That doesn't look like no tank for no peaceful protesting right there, man. That looks that looks like it's gone. That's been made to achieve one goal, man, to kill and to destroy. And that's, they're trying to tame these Russians. So it says here, United States has once again threatened Russia, President Vladimir Putin, right? And for what, man? All right, for the thing in Ukraine, right? When you get into the whole thing and what's happening in Ukraine, man, right? There ain't really much going down up in there, right? There's a lot more important things. There's a lot more things that are happening out there in the world for the Americans to be deploying them tankers, man. But here's the real deal, man. The fact of the matter is, right, the Americans and the Russians don't like each other. And as far as they're concerned, man, you consider each other enemies, right? Because the Spirit set it up. Going back to the book of Ezekiel, where it talks about the Most High drawing and putting the hooks in them Russians, man. Right? And them Russians have been a thorn in the Americans' so-called New World plan, man. Right? It says Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, the commander of the U.S. Army in Europe, said Pentagon planned to deploy the tanks and vehicles by the end of 2015, right? And they could become placed in Poland, Romania, the Baltic states. The military commander told Reuters, it says, by the end of 2015, we will have gotten all the equipment for a heavy brigade, man. Right? That means three battalions plus a reconnaissance squadron, the artillery headquarters, headquarters. So they want to set up an artillery headquarters, right? Engineers, and it will all stay in Europe. Hodges said. Right? It says last month the Pentagon threatened Russia with deploying nuclear. I'm gonna read that again. Right? That's some juicy bits right there. Right? It says last month the Pentagon threatened Russia with redeploying nuclear cruise missiles to Europe across Moscow. Violating two arms control treaties, right? And it goes on to say Washington said Moscow violated the Intermediate Range Nuclear Missile Treaty and the Treaty of Conventional Armed Forces in Europe. It says, however, Russia denied the allegations and said the testing of a ground-launched cruise missile in July 2014 was in compliance with the treaty, right? So you can see it, man. It's heating up, right? And it's just semantics right now. Oh, you said this, so we're gonna put some nuclear cruise missiles in your region and all of that, man. Those are threats. But here's the thing: the Americans, man. The story could be as fake as anything, but they could be as obvious fake, like the thing with them 12 people that got shot up there in France, man. Right? When I was speaking to brothers about it and they relayed the evidence to me, man, right? The thing sounded so fake, man. Even with the Ebola thing, when they was videoing them Africans out there, them Hamites out there, man, right? And you see the weak acting and all of that, man, and they'll still push their agenda, whether the acting is weak, whether it's believable or not, man. Whether what's happening on the screen is plausible, even with the beheadings, man, right? Out there in ISIS land, man. All right. So this man's been known to stage, and whether he achieves in deceiving the people, we don't really care, man. right? Because the way they see it is, who's going to stop him? Whether you believe it or not, who's going to stop him? And the vast majority of these people are too stupefied, right, to even comprehend or rather more understand how fake this shit is, man. Right? Excuse me again. Right? It says, however, Russia denied allegations and said the testing of a ground launched cruise missile in July 2014 was in compliance to the treaty. It says Hodges said the United States currently has about 30,000 troops in Europe, plus a similar number of Air Force, Navy, Marine, and personnel. Right? So you got about 30,000 ground troops out there, right? And then you got about all in all you got 60,000, right? You got your Air Force and the Navy, which are out there on the sea and that, patrolling, right? Waiting whether something happens and they're gonna push the buttons, right? But usually those are pawns, man. Those are the first things to get destroyed, man. Right, so when something pops off, right, like the deploying of 150 tanks. If you deploy 150 tanks near a man's land, that's a sign of war, man. The Russians might retaliate to that, right? And guess what? That might lead to what we've been waiting for, which is like World War III, man. Right? It says he added the U.S. military, right, would keep the forces in content, right, despite bigotry pressures in the country. It says the U.S. and its allies accuse Russia of sponsoring military activities in Ukraine, right, and the Kremlin has firmly rejected. Right, so you can see it, man. This thing is getting hot, man. It's only a couple of days into 2015, but you can see it's getting hot. With that, I'm going to say double honors to the apostles of GMS, honors you brothers, for pushing this truth and sincerity. Shalom.